Do you guys ever talk to the elderly? Like, you ever like just strike up a conversation with someone
with a random old person?
So I do that now. I make it a point to try to do if I can.
It's interesting. I get because mostly I've been in Baltimore, so I've been talking to my grandma way more, but not a random one. But I do like that because old people will surprise you.
So the other. It wasn't the other day. It was like maybe 3 months ago. I was having like just one of those days. I was sipping some coffee. I was having like the greatest day. I don't know why. The sun was hitting me.
Vibes were right.
My serotonin was good. Whatever I did, I was peaceful, and I was sitting there, and this old lady comes up. She comes up to me, and she's like, "Oh, can I sit here on the bench?" And I was like, "Sure." And I was just in one of these moods, and she's she looks at me and she goes, "Oh, you have very nice teeth." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And
very nice teeth is awesome.
Yeah. I was like, "You want to fuck?"
Yeah.
I was like, "I'll fuck you like the Nazi that I am." And so she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I worked in a dentist office for 30 years."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Wow." And she was like, "And I just retired recently." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Oh, I'm flirting, joking." I was like, "Oh, what are you, 45?"
Right.
And she's like literally like, her bones are like disintegrating.
She's like a shrimp.
Yeah, also she's like this. Yeah. And so she goes, "No, I'm actually 91." And I was like, "Wow." And I was like, "And you just retired?" And she goes, "Yep." She goes, "The best years of my life were working at this dental office." She was like, "How old are you?" And at the time I was like 38. I was 39. And she was like, "You must feel like you're had your best years behind you at that age." And I was like, "I actually at times I do, yeah." And she was like, "Nope." She was like, "My life really began when I was 60." She was like,
wow.
I swear, she was like, "I felt like when I turned 60, the world opened up for me."
Interesting.
And I was like, "That's very interesting." And then this girl is walking by, like really like pretty girl, and I just like took a look.
And
at
you're like, "All right, see ya, bitch." Hey, what's going on, sweetheart?
Yeah, I kicked over a wheelchair. I said, "Fuck you." And so she says to me, I took a look, and then whatever, and then kept wanting to talk to her, and she goes, "You like her, huh?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I was just taking a look." She goes, "Do you have like a family?" I said, "Yes, kids or whatever. I'm not married to the mother of my children, but been together 10 years."
Yeah.
She goes, "Yeah, but life is short." And I was like, you're 91.
You're 91
though.
You're kind of flipping what you're telling me. You said life begins at 60. Now it's short. What's going on here?
And she goes, but it's in. She was like, "You should though, if you like a girl like that." She goes, you should pursue that. You should really talk to her and just maybe have a conversation with her. Maybe," she goes, "maybe she's not what you think she is, but you won't know unless you talk to her."
Wow.
And I was like,
this pro-cheating 91-year-old. Chris has made up a woman to just in case Jasmine sees his texts. He's like, "Babe, this mystical grandma told me I had to talk to her. I'm sorry, it was special." He's using this fucking podcast to be read into the court records. Like, so there's a public record of this fake old lady.
When she said that, I literally in my head was thinking, is Jasmine undercover right now?
Is this Miss Wired?
Yes.
Jasmine, Sal and Jasmine, they got the Impractical Joker set up, and Jasmine's like, "Tell him he should pursue it. See what he does."
Sal's dying laughing, high-fiving Joe God. He's like, "This fucking idiot." So she goes, so I was like, "Well, no, I can't do that." I was like, I can't do that. And she was like, "No," she was like, all I'm saying is," she goes, "I'm not telling you to have an affair." She goes, "But don't judge yourself if you do."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" She goes, "We live in a society, in an American society, where you live in a box." She was like, "When you go to Europe and these other societies, they don't think of it this way." She was like, "My point is don't do things, don't be upset at yourself if you make a mistake of something." How did she say? She said, "As long as you don't defy nature." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Don't kill it."
No gay shit.
Yeah.
No gay shit, no blacks.
Yeah.
This incredibly open-minded woman's like, "Keep it within your race, son."
Yeah. She was like, don't murder anyone, don't rape anyone, don't things like that. Don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent.
Don't run a priest out of town if he made a mistake. It's an honest living. It's hard. He's lonely.
We're all human. And so she was like, don't put yourself. She was like, my point is if you like someone, just have a conversation with them. She was like, this life you'll see at the end of it is just about relationships. She was like, so you don't have to act on everything, but you should talk to people. She was like, I think a lot of your generation you feel like everyone's always watching you and you can't even talk to that girl or talk to that guy. And that's why you're all cheating on each other and getting divorced. You should just have a conversation with her. And I was kind of wanted to say it, but the problem is if I have a conversation with her, I'm going to ask for Instagram and it's going to turn into first I'm just, looking at her pictures.
Yeah. Then she's out of her mind.
Then I'm going down 180 weeks deep and I'm screenshotting the one boomerang she has where her ass looks kind of good and I'm jerking off to that for 2 weeks. And then it becomes I'm DMing her, I'm showing up outside of her job, and then I fully leave my family for this fucking barista.
And then you're in Long Island.
Yes,
new second family.
But she had told me though, she was like, I was in a horrible marriage for about 20 years. And she goes, and the thing is, it wasn't horrible. He wasn't beating me. She goes, but it was horrible because we never communicated. We didn't have any communication with each other, and that's why it was horrible. And I only realized after we divorced, that's why I feel like my life began.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
Interesting.
What was just without even knowing any of that, my first knee-jerk reaction was for this woman, I wonder if there is something freeing with age as a woman when it's like society's expectations kind of fall away. It's almost like it's so hard to be a woman in society because you're judged by like if you're hot, if you're like whatever, and it's like if she's at 60, and that's what I was thinking, maybe she's old, she might have been in a shitty relationship. Maybe she gets divorced, she's not a piece of ass anymore, so people aren't, that's obviously there's pros and cons to that, but it's like people aren't treating her like that, but also maybe they're seeing her as a fucking person for the first time instead of just like an object. And so it's very possible to me that somebody is freeing because of all the shitty aspects of whatever they're dealing with in society, where I could see that being the case. I mean, I've had friends who are like hot girls who are like, I wish people just saw me. Like every time people just see me, they're trying to fuck me, or even like other women are judging me on my looks, and it would just be nice to be, and then I kind of trailed off because their tits were like looking really good in the sun. I know. So I didn't finish the whole thing.
You're listening to her and you're like, no, I connect. And meanwhile, you're like this. Just deep breathing. Dude, I have to tell my podcast fans to stop taking my girl Jasmine's spin classes because she does them online now.
Oh my God.
No, because she opened it up to online and I was like, hey guys, listen to me. I had to make like a PSA, which of course I knew was going to make it worse, but Jasmine asked me to make a PSA.
Of course.
I was like, you guys got to stop taking her spin classes on Zoom with your cameras off. And all she can do, she says it's very uncomfortable when the other ladies in the class just hear you guys fucking breathing. And we know we are not breathing because of the spin bike. Like they're just these idiot podcast fans with the complete camera off, just watching my girl on the spin bike.
That's insanity. Yeah. Dude.
Well, she told, because it's her fault though, because she was like, "Can you repost some of my spin thing so I can get some more people in this class?" I was like, you don't want podcast fans doing that.
This is tough. This is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Pyrrhic victory.
She was like,
if I've ever heard one.
all of it. She was like, you repost this. I was like, and then what the comment? She was like, oh, I got 40 comments, and like she gets excited, and then she looks, and they're all talking about how they want to sniff her seat. So I'm like, you can't. It's not gonna work. But yeah, I mean,
it's interesting. Yeah, what was the how did it end with this?
So she
mage?
ended. She said, but she was like, at the end, she was like, take my advice. She was like, if you don't have communication with your girl, then you should not be in that relationship. She was like, your kids will be fine. You'll be fine. She was like, don't make things in your head bigger than they are.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's just about communication and relationships. She was like, your money doesn't matter. She was like, right now I'm 91. I could go at any minute. I don't care. She was like, I don't think about any car I've had. I don't think about any pair of shoes I've had. I don't think about any of that. She goes, the happiest I am. She has kids. She was like, I'm happy that my children still want to hang out with me and talk to me, and they will be by my bedside if I go.
Right.
She was like, so that's what life is. She was like, so don't, I feel like your younger generation, you get so hung up with the internet and what people think of you right now. She was like, it doesn't matter. Oh, and here's one big thing she said to me, which was very interesting. She goes, I do feel bad for your generation though, because you've been at peace for too long. And so what happens is with you young kids is I see online, you're begging for war. She was like, because you've been at peace. She was like, so I lived through war, you know, because she's older. She was like, I lived through war. She was like, and when you live through war, you realize that, you should be begging for peace. Peace is what it is. She was like, but you've been at peace for so long that you're going to be a victim of a big war.
We're begging for fucking war. She's out of her mind about that. We're not begging for fucking war. First of all,
the fucking Muslims are.
You ever heard of Sharia law? Yeah, just completely misread it.
No thanks.
But it's like I do think we've been at war, by the way, since. I mean,
you know what? Yeah, this lady's a dumb bitch.
She's a fucking old dumb whore. Since 9/11, we've been at war, and right now there is constant. She thinks I'm fucking stressed constantly that like. Who knows what the fuck's gonna happen in the Middle East? Like, we're so close to a really catastrophic.
This lady didn't even exist. I was just on mushrooms.
I really think you're hallucinating.
The whole time I was just talking to Mike Cannon.
Yeah.